Welcome to Living Your Path. I am Cecile Ferry, a coach and astrologer. I'm here to guide you on how to live and work in alignment with your true self so you can find fulfillment and serenity. Hello, my beautiful friends. How are you doing? It's great to be back on the podcast. I have some updates. Things have been happening, and actually this is what's leading me to today's topic, which I'm really excited to talk about with you. It starts with you. So we're going to be talking about us. Yay! So what's been happening? You may have noticed that I have been a little missing in action here, and it's just been too much going on. More on that in a minute. But going forwards, I am going to try something different in my business. And here, I'm really going to focus on the podcast going forward because I really love doing it. I get really good feedback on it. And there is so much more potential to grow it. I know it. So I want to deprioritize Instagram. So those of you that follow me, you won't see much there. And I'm going to be more here. And you would have noticed my brand new Cosmic Catch-Up weekly segment that I now do every Monday. I hope that you enjoy it. So I'm going to continue that for a while. I'm going to try it and see how it lands. I've been getting really good feedback. So if you haven't checked them out, make sure you go back. Otherwise, catch next week's episode, and really encourage you to follow the show in order to not miss out. I will still show up like I do today with different episodes that I'm going to talk about how to be living your path, how to be in alignment with who you really are in your career, your work, and in your personal life, like exactly what I've been bringing to you over the last episodes. I'm going to continue that, but I cannot commit to a dead set frequency for that. So you're going to have to just bear with me, because you will understand after today. It's all about depending how much capacity I have. In case you didn't know, I do not work full-time in this business. I so wish I could, but I have a part-time day job and I'm a single parent. So those things take up a lot of my time on a weekly basis. And then I have clients. I do birth chart readings. I have career coaching clients. I have personal coaching clients. So that is a lot to fit in. So that being said, that's why I can sometimes only show up every couple of weeks. And I appreciate you for waiting, bearing with me, and still listening to me. Okay, so today, exciting episode I want to talk about. It starts with you. So this is something I have really realized for myself in the last 2 weeks, and I've been making changes and things have been really working better. So that's why I'm here today. I just feel really called to share this message with you. And I know this is not something that you're likely to hear in most places, but that's why you're here, right? What was happening is, as I was just describing to you before, my life is really full. I have a lot going on, and I was still happy to manage all of that and juggle all of that. And I was looking at my results, and I was not really satisfied with the progress or the results or the pace of things. And normally I would be looking for better ways of doing things, different strategies, kind of solving it with my mind. But I really realized that at that point that I was really tired and exhausted, and a lot of the time quite stressed and in overwhelm mode. It had particularly been intense for me in the month of April. The school holidays were really difficult, and we've been looking at high schools on top of workload, heavy workload, lots of stuff going on, being pulled in every direction. So I realized that I was really in need of a break with myself, and I decided to step away a little. And that's why you haven't seen a podcast recently, or I haven't been on Instagram. And because I was really aware that I was too tired, too stressed, and I had too much on my plate. And I'm good with that now because I don't let myself burn out anymore. And I remember it was a hard decision to make because I didn't want to do that. I wanted to show up more in the business. I wanted to do more. I love doing it. But I was like, you know what? I just need to do that for myself. And so I accepted that and stepped away. And when I actually did that, things shifted in my external world for the better. I actually got better results and things starting to happen and to move. So I was just like, whoa, this is a massive aha for me. And that's why I'm here. And I want to share that with you. I'm not here to say you should just give up and sit on the couch and do nothing. No, but I'm here to say that you need to put yourself first. So it starts with you, is what I've really discovered and experienced recently. As in, you need to be in the right state for things to work out for you in the world, for you to have the result that you want, for you to have the happiness, to have the flow, to have all the things, right, that you want to be, do, and have. And it doesn't come afterwards. It's not like once you have those things, then you will be in the right state. That's the mistake that we do. We think those things will happen. We're going to feel better and we're going to be more relaxed and less overwhelmed and all that when we have those things. But those things actually simply won't come unless we look after our current state. So we live in a world where everybody is pushing, everybody is hustling and bustling, and it's kind of praised collectively. Stress is the norm, overworking is the norm. It's actually nearly a sign that you're doing well, right? It's like we just display how tired we are and how much there is, and then we can all commiserate together because we're all in that. But we've also all totally forgetting ourselves in the equation. And that's where I tell you sometimes I'm asking you to zig when everybody zags, because everyone is kind of forgetting themselves here and saying, my needs doesn't really matter. Without us being in a good inner state, we are just pushing more and more and never getting what we want. And we're kind of all walking around working like that, so used to not put ourselves in the equation. Neglecting ourselves, neglecting our needs to serve other purposes, to chase up other things, being our career, our family, our business, like other external things. But we have it back to front. Until you put your needs first, you can't reach your destination. And that's really what I realized in the last week. Another way to say this is the state and energy you're in are more important than the action, the effort, the work that you're currently doing. Hear that again. The energy, the state, how you are feeling right now is more important than all the stuff you are doing. Because if you're not feeling good and you are doing all this stuff from that place, it doesn't translate into the result that you want. And it's tried and tested. I've just told you the story about me doing that. When I started looking after myself, the right result came through. So it's kind of non-negotiable. You have to start with yourself. And I regret that we are in a world that never says this to you and actually encourages you to just keep your eyes on the external focus. And there's just so little care in today's world, in today's workplaces, out on the streets. Like, people are not treating themselves with the level of care and respect and attention that they need as human beings. It's like we are so drawn by technology and success and the fast pace that we've forgotten some of those basic ways of being. We're not here to sweat through our entire life, even though it looks like it is the recipe for success. We've forgotten that we have a right to feel good, to feel well, and to put our needs first. I just feel like we really moved so far away from that. And that's why the rate of burnout is so high. That's why there's so many chronic illnesses around, autoimmune disease and the likes. It's because the self is completely muted, and it's not like people don't have the space and the empowerment to think about themselves in order to really drive their life. And it's like obvious when you think about it, but we are so much under pressure to deliver, right? That we have just let that drive the bus, and myself included, right? So I hope today's episode will start switching that thinking on its head. So concretely, how do you do that? Because you're like, I hear it, Cecile, but I can't do it. So let me break that apart for you. It starts with you. You are the primary container of everything else that unfolds in your life. It's a pretty big deal, right? But you do have control over that. And if you're not well, if you're not functioning well, the rest will get impacted and the rest will escape you. And don't try harder. That is a sure recipe for wasting your time, money, energy, everything else. So let's talk about that container. Let's talk about you. You have a body and a soul, and both need to be well. Let's start with the body. Physically, I'm not chasing a perfect state here. Not saying you need to lose the weight and look amazing and feel amazing and wake up super well every day. No, but that container needs to be in reasonably good shape. It needs to be rested enough. It needs to have, on average, good energy levels. We can all have bad days and days we're more tired and we don't sleep as well. But here I'm saying, look at more like the trend over time. You don't want to be dragging injuries because, you don't have time to tend to them, or chronic health issues. Like, let's be honest about it. How is your physical container and how long has it been? And trust me, like, your body is responsible for so much in your life in terms of the result that you get, and it carries a lot. So you take a bit of an audit as to what may be going on physically for you. How is that container going? Secondly, your soul. So here I'm talking to your mental and emotional state. And it's as important. You need both, right? So you need to feel calm enough. You need to feel reasonably centered. You need to have mental clarity. I'm not saying you are in that state 24 hours 7. We are all, getting pulled. We have fight-flight reaction. It's normal. It's being human. But it's about coming back to center after those things. But what tends to happen is we are quite never in those kind of situation where we are centered or calm or have mental clarity. And this is also what I would call being in your body. Because when you are in your body, because you're breathing, because you have a break, because you have 5 minutes of mental gap, you get into your body. That's what I mean by being in a good inner state. But when you are anxious, stressed, overloaded, overwhelmed, you feel like you're not doing enough, like all those states pull you out of your body, out of your container, and that is not functioning. You can be a little bit unhinged like that because something triggers you, but you need to go back to center. But I think the problem is so many of us have lost that center and operate every day from that state of stress and overwhelm. And that's where I ended up, myself included, after my month of April. Even if I do yoga 3 times a week, even if I meditate every morning, because there was just so much going on. And it could be the same for you. You may have times with heightened stress, with heightened demands on you, like from your kids, whatever they're going through, or parents that you need to look after, or you're moving home, like all those things, like they just increase the load. So mental state, emotional states, really important, because if we push in a state where we are not centered, not calm enough, like when we are in that stress ongoing mode, if we push, we get more of the same. We get more stress, more overload, more frustration, and it just ends up being that little cycle, and we never get out of it. And usually the only way we get out of it, we get sick, like something like the other shoe drops, and we get forced to get out of it. And that is not an easy exit, usually. So you want to get into a place where you are catching it as you are in it and you're restoring before it really hits a very low point where you actually have to do heavy lifting to get yourself back up. And that is burnout, that is crisis situation, or it really impacting other people. So that's your mental state. Emotionally, we are all absorbing other people's emotions. Like, there is a cost. We're human beings. We feel everything that happens to us. You know, whether it's an email, it's bad news, it's your kids being upset, like it really affects us. And we carry that in our body. All that stress like had an emotional impact on us. Not to mention our own issues, the things we are disappointed about, the things that we're not finding in our lives, the injustices, the frustration, the pain, the suffering, the grief, like whatever's been happening in your life has an impact on you emotionally that may be hard to carry. So we have our own stuff, and then we have other people dumping a lot of stuff to us. Like our kids, we don't choose, okay? But what happens is this accumulates in yourself like layers and layers and layers, and we all have that. It's kind of your emotional tank. And we don't always go on holidays, because when we're on holidays, we empty the tank. We just switch off, we go away, or even when we're home, we do nothing. And then, we just like empty the tank, right? And then we start again and we just refill it. But the problem is we don't have an active maintenance system in between. And usually it can be months between holidays. And in the meantime, we're in that overwhelm, overstressed, pushing state, usually outside our bodies. And we are wondering why we're not getting the results and the happiness levels that we want. It's because we need to empty all that stress and the emotional load it's having on our body. So we need to have an outlet. We need to have a clearance system, a way to process our emotions and to move them out of our bodies. It's kind of like emotional hygiene. We brush our teeth every day, but we just sit with our emotions and just pile more and more. And then off we go. And it's only like when we're on the massage table one day that everything comes out. Or we get triggered one day and we don't even know why we can't hold back the tears. It's because we've had so much, like we've been sitting on. And this is the reverse of a wonderful quality, right? I just want to say it here. It's being incredibly strong and resilient and being quite selfless, you know, because other people need you and you're still functioning every day. So that is amazing. But this is not a strategy for yourself, because it stays in your body and it impacts your energy and the results that you're going to get. And that's where I was at. And that's why when I just kind of like let it all go and I gave myself enough space to process some of those emotions, things starting to shift. So we are not aware that we're sitting on so much emotional tank, like how full our emotional tanks are. So now that you get what the ideal scenario looks like, it's like, how do you get into that inner state? I'm going to give you a couple of steps and I'm going to give you some guiding principles to keep in mind, because you do need help on the mindset front or you're just not going to do it because you'll be blocking yourself. First step, restore physical well-being. That is paramount. I say it over and over and I'll continue saying it. You have one body. You need to look after it. The body is your vehicle, is your channel, and it carries everything in you. Your mind, your emotions. So it's not optional, unlike what the world will tell you, because you can't like think your way through when your body is hampered. So you need to tend to what's needed physically. And if you're constantly tired, you really need to put yourself to bed earlier. You really have to, or you have to steal extra sleep during the day, have a nap, okay? So non-negotiable. And especially if, you know, you're in your 40s and 50s, like we feel it, like our body is sending us more and more messages about its limit, because we're not like in our 20s where the energy is really up. Like, we need to listen. That's number one. Number two, you need to create more gaps, because chances are there are no gaps. Because if we leave it to the world, there will be no gaps. There will be an endless string of messages that you have to reply. There will be an endless list of emails in your inbox, both at work and at home. There will be an endless pile of dishes at home. The to-do list will never end, between things to repair, things to attend to, appointments to make, and I could go on. And then there is your job, and then there is planning something good for you or a holiday. Like, there is no gaps. There will never be a gap. We live in a gapless world. So you have to be intentional and create your own gaps. It should be like in everyone's job description for every day. You need breaks, you need pauses, you need just a moment in your day or several where you do nothing. You buy yourself a break, you go for a walk, you make yourself a cup of tea, you have 5 minutes of peace, you listen to some music, you breathe, you do a little jog, like whatever it is, like gaps, people. We need more gaps. Number 3, you need to tend to those emotional issues, those things that pile up. And especially if you go through a particular intense time where it all kind of rains on you, or it just is one thing after the other. It's your partner, and then your child, and then problems at work, and oh my God, like this really adds up. So you need to find the right solution for you to empty out. You know, for some people, it might be enough to just go and do one yoga session or have a massage. It will just empty all of that. Other people need different techniques. Some people really like EFT, for instance, which is emotional freedom technique. You can Google that. There is tons of them on YouTube. Brad Yates is my favorite for that. You can tap on points of your body. This is the principle to release energy and release emotions. Breath work is another incredible technique to get those emotions out. It's about releasing, and usually releasing emotion comes with some form of physical expression. It could be tears, it could be extreme fatigue, it could be rage. Like it needs to come out of you, you know, all that stress. So some people, it's going to a boxing class. That's how you release, right? But you get what I mean? You can't just release by just sitting there and doing nothing. You need to let those emotions move. It could be taking a bath with Epsom salt, because that will really make the energy move. You could resort to some energy techniques you respond to. It could be acupuncture, it could be emotional therapy, it could be rapid transformation therapy, it could be energy work, it could be clearing through essential oils. Like, there are so many techniques, because you don't want to be stuck with those bad emotions simmering. It could be talking into therapy as well. So those things need to happen as part of your emotional hygiene. And number 4, I've called it clear the slate. And that is about the changes that are necessary. So that's a more macro picture, right? So this is looking at, okay, is there something right now I really need to address in my life? For instance, you know, is it my job? Do I actually have an ongoing deeper problem here? Is it my family? Is this something about one of my children? Is this something about my relationship with my partner? Like, those are big questions. But as I say, it starts with you, and you need to look at those things and look at what changes are necessary, and then seek the right support and help to move towards that. But that comes after you've done the well-being for yourself, created the gaps, and tended to your daily emotional issues. And we're all different with those, you know. Some people can go weeks with a lot of stress, and some people get a lot more sensitive, and after a couple of days, their emotional tank is full. And also depends on your blueprint. So we can talk about that if you do a birth chart reading, because I will tell you, some signs are definitely more prone to absorb emotions. I'm talking to you, Pisces and Cancers, right? But also some signs are more prone to like mental overwhelm. So depending on your makeup as well, we're not all equal. You will require different things at different frequency. But here I'm talking to you about the generic principle that you need to do those things for yourself. In order to assist you with being as successful as possible with this, what sounds like a difficult task, but actually it's like going back to basics, I'm going to give you a couple of mindset principles or guiding principles that I know to be true, and I want you, even if you don't believe them, please just take them on board and run with them. Okay, I've got 4 for you. Number 1, you can step back a little. I really need to say that. Not everything, actually not much, will fall through. So there's a real fear, especially in women. I see it in my friends, in the people I work with, in my clients. Most of us have a fear of not delivering. It's real. But the thing is, it's just a fear. It just lives in our head, and it's not a kind of tangible risk. And so I want you to give yourself the permission, because as I say, it's a barrier in your mind, so you can get rid of it yourself. It's a perception that we cannot drop the ball. It's a perception. You can do less. You can step back a little. You're actually functioning at overcapacity. The world will not collapse. And this is because of principle number 2. Other people mostly think of themselves. They are not thinking about you. They're not wondering what the hell you're doing. They are not judging you. They don't. They've got so much going on focusing about themselves. They worry, their thoughts, they are in their own head. So they are not thinking about you and judging you anywhere near what you think. And it's actually pretty close to zero. And everyone just works like that. People are afraid of what other people are thinking of them. But people are not really thinking of other people. And trust me, that piece of advice was given to me years and years ago with the first coach I listened to, and it's so powerful. So I'm giving it to you now. Guiding principle number 3. That has been a lifelong lesson for me. Not everything has to be done now and by you. Like, we can be slaves to our to-do list, to all the things that need to be done and feel like, but I have to do it in order to release the pressure on myself. Like, you really need to step away from that mentality of the do, go. Otherwise, something bad's going to happen. Or, I will be judged. Like, it's okay for things not to be done, or not to be done now, or not to be done by you. Really look at your relationship with to-do list, with urgency, with task, and how stuck you feel with that. Because you were not born like that. That those things have not been attached to you, but you have taken them on. So you can redefine that relationship with your to-do list and free yourself at least a little. Just build that distance, build that gap. Principle number 4. When you are at full capacity, mentally and emotionally, or if you are diminished physically, but especially mentally and emotionally, when you are in the states that I describe, anxious and stressed and overwhelmed, I hate to break it to you, but you really have an impact on other people, and not a good one, and myself included. Like, managers that are stressed, just awful for their staff, like, it's just the worst. So you are not as good a parent, a friend, a manager, or a partner, or whatever other roles you fulfill, when you are not starting with yourself. And I think we forget and we don't see it because, it's a blind spot as well. We often don't realize it. But we are not being loved and appreciated that much. Actually, some people really resent us, especially, for instance, if you're a manager at work. It's not good for people around you to have you in that state. As a parent, it just makes it even harder for your kids, and they act up even more. So that's also maybe the realization that you need in order to put yourself first. It's actually not only you're not getting what you want out of your life, You're not getting the result, the happiness that you really desperately desire and deserve. But also, you're actually not doing other people any favor. And so that may be a bit of a pill to swallow, but that may be something that gets you into action to prioritize yourself. Because when you do tend to yourself, oh my God, the change on other people. Have you noticed, like, when a manager comes back from holidays, how much better things are? But then it wears off. The same with you. So you need to have those regular kind of self-care points, or points where you look after your needs so that you don't impact others on a kind of ongoing basis. So I'm going to love you and leave you with that, and want you to start thinking more often, it starts with me. What does me need? Where am I at? And if you has not been really well for quite some time, please do what I did. Step away, create some gaps, give yourself permission to drop some stuff, to delay some stuff, to pause on some stuff, and watch what happens. Because no one will tell you to do that. Everyone will tell you to do more, be more, have more. But if it's not working right now, what's the point? So that is the energy that I'm in now. Like today I'm good, so I'm showing up here. I'm having a quieter, calmer week, and I tend to my needs. So I'm doing this as opposed to showing up like I have to do this and I have to give you something to listen to, and then add to my stress levels. See? Same action coming from two different energies. And I know what will land better for you. So I hope that I've inspired you and I've given you the encouragement and the empowerment that you need and the permission that you need, because no one will say, look after you. But I'll say, that's where it starts. So what are you going to do now? Where does it start with you? What does you need right now? And go and do that. Take care, my friends. I'll speak to you in the next episode. Bye, everyone.